Good morning, dear friends, and welcome to today's version of this thing of ours. I'm so glad you can join us as we take to we used to call it the airwaves, but I don't know what you want to call it now, the platform waves, on this, the 17th day of June in the year 2024. And as we always start off with this benediction, this reminder to you of something very, very critical. It is 141 days until the election. 141 days until the election. And let me tell you what's happening, which you probably knew. Republicans are saying we've got it in the bag. We've got it. We have a debate coming up. Trump's going to crush him. Don't worry about it. Everything's groovy. Don't worry about it. We've got it. We're going to kill them. We've got it. It's about time. And people will stop paying attention. They will go to Fox News and watch the latest brilliant intonations of Judge Jeanine as somehow a replacement for going out there and actually campaigning on the hustings, as we call it. They're going to put together a potion, a neurological cocktail that will spike and jumpstart cognition, the likes of which you've never even seen before. And you are not going to believe what Joe Biden is going to look like. You're not. And all he has to do, first of all, it's not going to make any difference. The numbers are here, but get off of this looking at how he's bumbling. It's almost like it's a red herring. It's a rodeo clown. It's a diversion. Quit focusing just on that. We all know that it's starting to get kind of mean, and people are going to start to say, my grandfather was like that. And, this was maybe funny at first. I got the point, but I'm not feeling good about this because we live in a world today where we're just mean because of trolling and all these other kind of things. So let me just tell you something. But today's effort is going to be on some other things. Some weird examples of, I love this. Well, I shouldn't say I love this. Racism that backfires completely. We're going to be talking about the complete destruction of the Tonys. Most people don't care about the Tonys, but Mrs. L in particular and I have been watching this for years. And what we're seeing is just a complete just implosion into this weird kind of strange community gender and sexuality based leftist woke radical left ideology that they're putting on movies or plays rather musicals just for themselves, just so they can satisfy their own demented form of reality. We're talking about that. And then a very serious look on how it may behoove us to completely change our view of drugs, drug laws, and the like, and go back and revert to a recriminalization. Because if we looked at drug abuse like we are seeing in the streets, the way we theoretically did for COVID, and recognize this as such, it would be a different place. So sit back, my friends. Make sure you are subscribed. I constantly see numbers. All of a sudden, people think they're subscribed and they're not. I don't know how it becomes unsubscribed. I'm always liking things, which I didn't want to do, but that's okay. So please make sure you're subscribed. Please make sure you like the video. Please make sure you pay attention. And now, before we begin, this incredible word from this incredible sponsor. Do you remember a while back, the world's most famous celebrities and billionaires were outraged because the internet used apps to stalk their flight routes of their private jets? Remember that? And with these apps, anyone could track the celebrities' flight routes nearly in real time. But new legislation by Congress, of course, has made that illegal, allowing the rich and famous to anonymize their jet flight and make it impossible to track them. Well, unfortunately, when regular citizens like you and me complain about our privacy, the government does nothing about it. That's why I protect my personal data with today's sponsor, Virtual Shield, and I absolutely love the security I get with them. Virtual Shield helps protect my private information, browsing history, and internet activity from cyber criminals, hackers, tech corporations, ISPs, and more. It only takes 2 clicks on my laptop or phone to protect me with their flagship tools like Virtual Shield's VPN, which features anonymous browsing, ad blocking, a strict no-log policy, military-grade encryption, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited devices, and much, much more. Thanks again to Virtual Shield for sponsoring Lionel Nation, and be sure to sign up by visiting virtualshield.com/Lionel, or simply click the link in the description below, because every sign up with that link gets you up to 67% off and a 60-day risk-free trial. Now, my friends, let me begin by saying something. We have to win this election, and I'm not going to let anybody get in the way of a victory, especially the judge rules on these various shows that think that just making fun of Joe Biden's enough. Okay. They're just, I've seen this, and I see what's happening, because America loves meanness. We love to mock people, and that somehow has been viewed as some kind, I guess, tantamount or a wonderful replacement for actual political advances and the like. And it's simply just not the case at all. Okay. So understand something, and they're very good at this. So let's have a nice mention of Joe's dotage, but it's time to move on. Lori Cook, our dear friend, says President Trump needs a VP like Kamala Harris. She's daft, mean, and scary. Well, perhaps. You know what, Lori? And by the way, thank you. I have no interest in this VP. I mean, I really should, but my pick is very, very simple. Ben Carson. Nothing simple. Nothing complicated. Elise Stefanik, I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. She is an opportunist. And if you want Bibi Netanyahu writing her script, I'm sorry, folks. I'm an American. Same thing if you want Zelensky or one of these people writing a Lindsey Graham script. No. We got to be realistic. See, that's today's theme. I want you to remember, to imagine that the first time you ever heard jazz, nobody called it jazz. And imagine that you've heard jazz, and then you heard country, and there were no names for this. You just didn't know it. And you said, you know what I like that first song. I like that. What was it? That song. It was really good. I like that song. You like that? Yeah, I did. It was good. I like that song. What is that called? I don't know, but I liked it. That's the way you should be. That's just the way. Lori Cook says, I just want the insurance. He. Well, I can't do the joke. I can't do it. But there's a joke about sometimes you pick the worst person available. There was a joke about when Ted Kennedy or any of the Kennedys run, you want the worst possible choice for vice president so that nobody will ever try anything terrible regarding the Kennedys, such as a Shanahan. And I'm not going to go through the jokes. Bobby Kennedy, by the way, is not to be taken seriously. And I think you know that. And the same thing for Cornel West and these other people. I mean, they're nice, they're fun, but it's nice. It's nice. Okay. It's like watching Pro-Am golf. It's like, okay, all right. Now, a couple of things here. First and foremost, you must understand and grasp this notion that what the left is doing is they are so good. They are so good, and they're doing it just to drive you crazy. What do I mean by that? Let me explain. They're going on every TV show available and basically telling the world, and I find this is so great, they're saying, Joe Biden has never been better. Joe Biden looks great. He's smart. He's with it, just to drive you crazy. And he is laughing. They are laughing uncontrollably. Laughing at you. Laughing. They absolutely think they're driving you crazy. And what you'll do is they'll say something, and you will find yourself, what? Yoga band. Wait a minute, what? What is going on here? I just got this weird thing. Yoga ban?
In San Diego now, they want the police are rounding you up. You have to have permits to do public and parks.
Wow, public yoga in San Diego. By the way, San Diego is going to be the epicenter of complete. They're going to do to San Diego what they did to Philadelphia. San Diego is the epicenter of, and the San Diegans, and it's a beautiful place. They have not a clue, because you know what? They're walking around saying, hey, that's okay. This is so beautiful. Nothing can happen to us. They don't understand. They don't understand. They don't get it. They don't understand what's happening. They simply don't. Yeah, illegals, right? Illegals are okay. Coming over, you know, and also fecal fetid beaches are okay from all the spillover from Mexico. That's okay. But yoga, no. And by the way, another thing California does is, I find this interesting. They have these. They were passing out these drug packets that have razor blades, straws. Plastic straws were verboten in California, but except for drug addicts, and they're handing razor blades out to demented people. I mean, you can't imagine this. But let me explain something to you. Understand what is happening, and that's why it's time for us to move on. This is what everybody's talking about. And there are folks, now watch this, you've seen this a million times. I know you've seen this. And they're going on saying, I don't know where, excuse me, the right wing media, that's that Dan Abrams, distorted, which is okay. If you want to get what used to be Drudge Report for the left, this is just distorted. But they're saying that Rupert Murdoch and fake news are taking this event and they're saying, I was there. This is what actually happened. And they're showing you a repeat of the event, of the moment, and not clarifying anything. Now watch now. Joe is staring. He's staring. Okay. Obama's to the right. I think it's Kimmel to the left. Now watch. Obama realizes, get him off the stage. Joe's transfixed. The best line from Miranda Devine is, he's like a out of whack, what is it? Roomba, or a defective Roomba that's going around like in circles, just losing, has no idea where he is. Now watch Obama's hand. Watch. Get Joe. Don't scare him. Let's go, Joe. Come on. That's it. Look at the wall. There. We did it. Not even turning back. Okay. Imagine that was Trump. Remember a while back when they would make Trump talk about how Trump was holding water, or how he was sniffing, or Trump's 78. He's what, a couple of years below. Trump's on fire. And so suffice it to say, and I mean this sincerely, it's time to move off that. Now, here is a great story which I want to tell you, which I find a little troubling for reasons which I will explain. This might surprise you. There is a fellow, by the way, a Texas Democrat, an ex-Biden appointee, was arrested for alleged posting fake racist social comments about himself. Now, I don't like this. An ex-Biden White House appointee and current Democratic candidate for county commission seat in Texas allegedly created a dummy social media account to boost bogus racist comments about himself. So he was arrested for online impersonation. Now, and this was initiated by his opponent, incumbent Andy Myers. Online impersonation, that's 90% of dating apps. That's what are you even saying? Raul Rodriguez says, in 1974, I first heard Take 5 by Dave Brubeck. 5/8 time, by the way. With Paul Desmond, the greatest alto sax player ever. ever. Thank you, Raul. Lori Cox says they kept certain types out of Ironworkers Union by making everyone else take a test. The test was how many you answered. Shaking my head. Sneaky. Oh, Lori Cox, a veritable repository of information this morning. Thank you so much. Well, listen to this fellow, Mr. Patel. This is a fascinating story, which I think most people are missing. Wait a minute, lying online, impersonating. Wait, what?
Last hour about the charges against the challenger running for Fort Bend County Precinct 3 Commissioner.
Yeah, he is accused of creating a fake social media account.
By the way, let me just stop right there. Do you see how every local TV show is exactly the same? Same setup, same plastic ways of talking, fake banter, fake weird way. Every TV station in every area, everybody speaks exactly the same. It blows my mind how homogenized it's become.
To post racist comments directed at himself.
ABC 13's Rosie Wynn joins us live from the Fort Bend County Jail with new information, Rosie.
Eric and Gina, the Fort Bend County District Clerk just made those charging documents for Thurl Patel available to the public. More than 20 pages that we have spent the last hour sifting through, and the allegations are alarming. Here is what we know so far. Back in October, the DA's office received a request from Precinct 3 Commissioner Andy Meyer to look into who was behind several social media posts directed at his opponent, which is Patel.
That's interesting. Hey, would you look into the racist comments against my opponent, Patel? Not against me. And he's not asking for it. I'm asking for it.
This came after Patel sent out a press release with a collage of supposed racist social media posts that he claimed were directed at him. Meyer told investigators.
Well, they were directed at him. They were also written by him. I don't see what the big deal is.
He recognized one of the accounts behind the comments as Antonio Scallywag. The documents then further detailed how they linked that account back to Patel, including getting a subpoena from Facebook and Google. From there, they were able to obtain account and payment information matching Patel's credit card number, address, phone number, and other personal data. Patel now faces a third-degree felony of online impersonation and Class A misdemeanor for misrepresentation of identity. The DA's office tells us this is the...
Excuse me, I know people who are constantly putting pictures of themselves up with filters. They don't look like this. It's all misrepresentation. It's all misidentification. I'm not kidding when I tell you this. The whole notion, the whole reason for the internet is misrepresentation and misidentification.
First time that they've charged someone with that specific election-related misdemeanor. Now, we have made efforts all day to try to reach Patel, whether it was through phone, social media, or even the address listed on his candidate filing. We also reached out to his opponent, Precinct 3 Commissioner Andy Meyer, but a spokesperson tells us at this time they have no comment. We're told that Patel did bond out of the jail here early this morning. His next court appearance is on July 22nd. Reporting live.
Now, I'm sorry. Listen to what you think I'm kidding. I know people who use filters who are 50 to 75 pounds lighter. I know people who lie catfishing on dating apps. I know people who pretend they're, I mean, what is this, like stolen valor in reverse, but stolen racism? This is a fascinating story. And believe me when I tell you this, believe me, what they're going to be saying on Fox News is that, well, he's a Democrat. I say, no, what about the bigger picture? What about First Amendment? Who? First Amendment. What are you talking about? There's not going to have anybody. You're not going to have Jonathan Turley on. Maybe you will. I don't know. This is the issue. There's more on this.
Political future was bright by many standards. Now a candidate for Fort Bend County Commissioner who once worked in the White House has been arrested. The candidate, Thurl Patel, for Fort Bend County Commissioner Precinct 3 has been charged by Texas Rangers. He made an appearance on the Isaiah Factor back in September, where he claimed he was a target of hate and racism.
Now, you got to hand it to him, though. Seriously, anybody who can lie this well has a bright future in politics.
And those claims may be at the center of his criminal probe now.
It's from a very deeply misguided place of fear
In the
that
car.
immigrants are coming to take people's jobs or things of that nature. And I try to remind folks is I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for the people, all the people of Precinct 3.
And I will even make up fake accusations of racism to win your trust.
Whether they like me or not, my goal is to better their lives.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, what we hear from a kind of polarized environment is it doesn't matter what my policies are. They're coming after my race, my religion, my nationality, which is American. But, you know, I've been called Indian, Pakistani, so many different things that are not even accurate.
Now, I don't even know what that means. And by the way, years ago, the word Caucasian would apply to Asian Indians. Now they have completely abrogated that designation, and you're just called non-white. Okay, for all of you anthropological fans out there.
But our goal is to respond back with love.
That was Terrell Patel on The Factor last year
Love
when he claimed he was
The
a victim of
Factor.
racism in the political race for county commissioner. Our sources say his arrest is related to the allegations he made in the interview and in others, where he claimed people were sending him hate messages online and through social media. Our high-level source tells The Factor the Texas
The
Rangers
Factor.
are investigating if the
Don't tell Bill O'Reilly about that. The Factor. They didn't tell me this is called The Factor. Don't you understand that? The Factor.
those claims of hate and racism were
Hate.
totally made up by Patel, who is still running as Democrat for the seat. He is charged with online impersonation, a felony,
Wow.
and a misdemeanor charge of misrepresentation of identity. So, Charles, when we take a look at the allegations and the criminal charges against Mr. Patel, your thoughts on what this is all about?
Well, I'm hearing some whispers that this is about him allegedly creating fake identities to then make hateful comments.
What? This is rather moot. This must be old. That's the whole point of this. I got a big problem with this. Got a big problem with this. So I can't email you and say something. I hate you. So if it's real, it's okay. If I say, I hate you, you blank, that's okay because it's real. But if I fake it, if it's, hey, good news, it wasn't real hate. And by the way, I think hate is protected speech, even imaginary hate. Sorry. Have you ever heard of a pseudonym? Remember what, who was it? The Federalist papers. What was it? Publius? The Federalist papers. Who was it? Who wrote? Forget it. Well, I got big problems with this. Lori Cook says, all the more reason to help the guy out. We need more people to join us and real people to hate him, if that's what you're talking about. Lori, thank you so much. It's an excellent point. Now, let's talk about something better. Let's talk about something even better. Have you heard about boofing? Wait a minute. She's on fire today. Lori says, how do we know? Who decides? It's a great question. I decide because I'm in charge of all that is logical. Have you heard, Laurie, of boofing? I'm sorry. Boofing. Please. This is not for kids. If you have any kids watching, turn the other way. We are in no way trying to instruct people on new ways to administer drugs because, my friends, I have completely changed completely changed now as to my thoughts and my beliefs in terms of drug legalization and the like. I used to say absolutely that the idea of drug abuse is something that is completely guaranteed, that it is something that is implied in a kind of a libertarian way of thinking. And any determination, any attempts, any thoughts, any activities of banning drug use was patently unconstitutional. I believe this. I really believed it. It's what I believed. I thought that's the truth and that's the way it is. Well, I've changed my mind drastically. I'm not sure where this leads. Gracie says election interference, ? Or maybe if the Russians did this, that would be even more palpable. I don't know. It's a good question, Gracie. Thank you. We are seeing drugs now. It's not somebody who was some poor guy who finds himself facing 5 years in prison for smoking a joint. Those were the old days. who was a fellow Sullivan or whatever the MC5 had. I forget his name, but Kennedy. John Lennon wrote about him. You know, these terrible stories about people who were ruined, their lives. We don't have that anymore. Now we have zombies. See, now we live in a world that's completely different. Now we live in a world that is completely devoid. Shall I remind you? I'm glad. Look at this. You see stuff like this. I don't know what this guy's doing. I've been around. I've seen some whacked out people, but you're seeing this like these zombies. By the way, he's the county commissioner for, just kidding. This is what you can see. Now, you mean to tell me, let me get this straight, that the government can force me to wear a mask and can't go here and can't go there because I might pick up something that later on, which is, if it hasn't been debunked by this point, I don't know, but they have no problem with that. But this is not a public enemy. This person, and by the way, what they do on the street and elsewhere, I don't have to go into details, is another story. Do you not see this? How about this? And by the way, good news. Good news. Look at Lori. Dope enema. Well, it's funny you say that. We will get to that. And by the way, remember, we in no way here at Lionel Nation want to encourage people from doing this type of stuff. But the great city of Philadelphia was, and now this new mayor is trying to clean things up with Kensington and others. Kensington was just the epicenter. But this stuff is still going on. Look at this woman. She's standing there. There she is. Hey, how are you? Nobody knows what. Nobody's seen this before. It might be Trank. It might be the xylazine. Nobody knows. This man's just frozen. He's not doing what you think he is. Look at this. He's a crossing guard. This frozen behavior, frozen, just bent over. Look at this. And this is broken windows in spades. People just walking around zombified. This isn't a joint. This isn't stuff that we're used to. Not only that, these people pose absolute threats to traffic. And not only that, I as a citizen don't want to see this. This is disturbing the peace. This has been completely and totally, absolutely forgotten. You see this elsewhere. Sad to say.
The drug is sweeping through America right now.
The zombie
footage
drug
coming out of Philadelphia shows crowds of people slouched over but still.
Now let me say this again. There is a concerted effort by this new mayor to stop this, to fix it. But for some reason, this Kensington, which I believe now, like I said, but it has now been replaced by LA, Portland, you name it. This is everywhere.
Standing. The insane part is that this is a common scene in almost every major city in America. They look like they are conscious, but not at the same time. The drug they are on is called xylazine, or more commonly known as Trank. It is known to place people into a zombie-like state where they are unable to move and seem to lose all awareness.
But there's more.
People using the drug are put into a complete trance and can be seen walking around like an animal.
Yep.
The drug causes infections of the limbs, which most commonly result in amputations. It has been described as being so addictive that even a single accidental hit of it could get you hooked. Trank is now in about 90% of Philadelphia's drug supply and can be commonly found in low-income areas of almost all U.S. cities. You can walk downtown right now and most likely see people like this. Looks like it's time to get out of a...
Yeah, now see, this is this is where we are. And there was a while back when there was this fellow named Joe Biden, who, if this guy was the Democrat, the Joe Biden of 1997 is not even remotely similar to what this version is. Joe, I'm sorry to say this, I'm breaking my own rule, seems to be like he's on Trank. It's some kind of a fog, some zombified, busted Roomba spin. This is Joe Biden. Listen to this one. This is Joe Biden in 1997. They were talking about extending the 1994 the Drug Act. Listen to this tough as nails Joe Biden, who had no time for drugs and drug use.
Drugs, stupid, it's drugs. It's drugs, stupid, it's drugs. And it is. It is drugs. This statement is unfortunately necessary in the face of rising drug abuse.
Now, I just want to say, this is before he knew about Hunter Biden. This is before, I don't think he's necessarily responsible for that, but just look how things change. And look at the Joe then, and look at the Joe today.
Abuse among our children. While drug abuse among adults is holding steady, all the surveys tell us that more and more children are falling prey to drugs. Anecdotal for 1 second, went to one of our leading high schools, public high schools in my state, and one of the leading private high schools. In the midst of the campaign, asked them about what they thought about marijuana, how many thought it was harmless. 85% of the kids raised their hand.
Marijuana. And that was real marijuana. That was actual marijuana. That wasn't this, whatever the stuff they're selling now, this synthetic, whatever. And by the way, if he said it happened and he went to a school, it didn't happen. In his mind, it happened, but not actually.
First time since the 1974, I've had a debate in a high school with children about whether or not, why isn't it legal? It's the old 1974 argument when I got started in this business. So we have to understand.
He's actually arguing against the legalization of pot. I mean, look where we've come, my friend.
Understand there are 39 million children under the age of 10. If not one.
There are 39 million children under the age of 10. Okay. Well, maybe.
0.1% increase in the percent of those who try drugs occurs. We will still have an 8 or 9% increase in the number of crimes committed as a consequence of drugs because.
Now, wait a minute. If somebody smokes weed in 1997, you're going to have crime go up other than the crime of smoking weed or,
that population is going to balloon. So holding steady is not enough. It will create a crime wave like we haven't seen in the next 10 years unless we do something about it now. So we must also expand the drug courts to cover 50,000 more children. A vast improvement on the no drug testing, no treatment, and no threat of punishment system that typifies so many juvenile courts today.
See this? Look at it. Look, I mean, this is Joe Biden. No testing, no this. Today they give out drugs. Not only are kids whacked out of their minds on whatever they can pick up on the street, but they're given drugs by their doctors and their farm and puberty blocking drugs. And I mean, look where we've come, my friend.
600,000 convicted first-time drug abusers walk in the street without one single solitary sanction against them. Drug courts are not lenient. They are tougher. They are tougher.
Isn't that something? Don't you love this? What happened? What happened? This is the most incredible thing anybody's ever seen. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in quite a while. Right now, going back to this, let me see just a second here. Our good friend Bradley Oplin says syntaxes and laws are problematic because of corruption. Help these poor people. If making it illegal helps them, fine. But I'll believe it when, okay. I used to think that true. That's that as well. I used to think that. Makes a lot of sense. Let's help them. Let's help them. It sounds good. Thank you, Brad. Lori says, them people think they're having fun. WTF. You're using, and I'm using this thing. Let's put more money in education. Let's put more money in treatment. Let's take those people you've seen and put them into treatment. Get them off this. Okay. Well, how do you get them off the streets and put them into treatment? What if they don't want to go to treatment? Well, that's a good question. Well, what do we do? I want you to stand by for 1 second. I want you to think about this. It's all changed. Remember, I haven't changed my opinion. When the facts change, I change my opinion. That's what the great John Maynard Keynes said. Listen to this very carefully, my friends. Listen to this very, very carefully. This word from our great sponsor at MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know, a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0, My Pillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965, and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. mypillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. Now, my friends, unfortunately, we're using a lot of the same phrases that used to work kind of in the old days. Our good friend, one of Will, says, I smell corn pop. Oh, corn pop is bubbling there. Indeed. I thank you for that. There is sad to say, a need for something which I don't think the American public is ready to do or get into or involve themselves with. And it's very simple. And that's called picking people up off the street and throwing them into treatment facilities. And it's also called warehousing them. That's right. Warehousing them. This is not about somebody sitting back and let's do a couple of tokes and groove to some, John Mayall and drink a jug of homemade wine and watch the lava lamp and group. No. We're talking about something different. What if I told you, let me ask you something. What if I told you those people who were there, let me ask you a very simple question. Those people who are walking around, what if they weren't doing drugs? What if they were just crazy? Would you advocate them walking around and just not being treated at all? Would you advocate that? Would you say that's okay? What if all these people were just crazy? Just crazy. What would you say? Well, no, you would say, let's pick them up and put them in some kind of housing. So I say, pick them up and lock them up. Now you can say, isn't that crime? That is against the law. It is against the law to break a window. It is against the law to hit somebody, whether you're crazy, whether you're under the influence of drugs, whether you're depressed, whether you have PTSD. It's against the law, period. And you know what's interesting? When things are against the law, people stop doing things like you can't believe, because once they realize, I guess it's kind of okay, it's all right. If you're out there and you're in, dare I say again, Kensington or someplace, and you see this one picked up, that one picked up, that one picked up, this, I think you say, I think we might want to move. It's so funny, when we had for a while, there was like a week here in New York where all of a sudden we saw more and more people on the street doing heroin. I've never really seen, or injecting something. We always say it's heroin. It might be something. And all of a sudden the police came, picked them up, and they left. They never came back. Where'd they go? Did they stop doing heroin? I don't know. I'm going to say something to you, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way. I don't care. I don't know where government has to now care. Government doesn't care about anything. Doesn't care about anybody. Doesn't care about schools. Doesn't care about children. Doesn't care about trafficking. Doesn't care about the borders. But I'm supposed to show. No. And if you want to see where this country is going, watch the Tonys. I got to say one brief word about this. Years ago, they were saying that the Academy Awards, the Oscars, were too white. Remember that one? Too white. White actors, white movies, white plots, white frameworks, white. This is what people said. This is what people were told. This is what people were told to believe. And it's something which, frankly, I found a little bit problematic. Our good friend Christian Jana says, secondhand trank smoke, can that have an effect on you if you walk through an outdoor drug market or state-approved drug-using zone? I guess you should just accept another freedom being taken away, huh? Well, my freedom, and I thank you for that, that's a good point, my freedom to be unaccosted by these people is completely forgotten. Lori Cox says the answer is staying sober long enough to want a life. That's true, Lori, but if you don't want to stay sober, it's not my business. It's yours. You can do whatever you want. But if we catch you and you're out there in the street, you're under arrest. This is unsightly. This is disturbing the public, and that sort of thing. But let me go back to this Tony's. Last night, there was a fellow who Billy, what? I'm sorry, what's his name? Billy Porter is a man in a dress, which is okay. And he was from Kinky Boots. And he got this very prestigious award. What's the name of the award again? The Isabel Stevenson Award. Why? I don't know, because he wears a dress. Major contributions to the theater community. He's gay, wears a dress. Okay, fine. I don't care. Remember Talley? Was it Alvin? What was his name? Talley? Yeah, Andre Leon Talley. He used to wear a bedspread. Wasn't a dress because he was so fat. He wore a bedspread. They would like cover him like in a cape. He put him in it. It wasn't really a dress. So this guy walks around in a dress, and there are others do it too because, whatever, which is fine. It's okay. It's okay. Now, if all of a sudden everybody came out of the Oscars looking like Sam Elliott with a handlebar mustache and talk like this, and we started having movies like John Wayne and Yellowstone and that sort of thing, and we had shoot 'em ups, we had a bunch of guys come out there and talk like that for the Oscars, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're going to say this is too white, too redneck, too cracker, too whatever it is, and too corn pone, and too whatever it was, right? You know it, if it were true. But if you watch these Tonys, you realize it's done. It's finished. This doesn't appeal to anybody except those idiots whom I despise. The Tonys is such a bunch of phonies. Did you watch? If you watch a second of it, just whenever somebody walks up, you see 9,000 people get up. These are the producers. These are people who put the money in, who are lured into investing by saying, we'll give you a Tony. You might have to buy the statue yourself, but you can say you're a Tony Award winner by virtue of being a producer. In the old days, they were called angels. They were called supporters and, money people. But they're all up there. You got like 1,000 people on stage with one idiot talking about some player movie you've never seen. And they are completely, and it's not that it's non-white, it's non-reality. And they're going to destroy Broadway. Destroy it. They're going to turn it into something that nobody but this select few of elite, lunatic, woke, radical left fools believe in. This, they're going to destroy it. And they're giving out awards like, you schmuck. Nobody wants to see. If anybody says, hey, guess what? I want to come to New York and want to go to a Broadway show. Hey, I've never been to a Broadway musical or a play. Hey, let's watch the Tonys and see if there's anything we might want to see. Horrible. The only one that looked, believe it or not, kind of interesting was Suffs, the play supposedly produced by Hillary Clinton, who came out and they clapped for her. And Mrs. Ellen and I were saying something, and I don't want you to accept this because you won't. You will be disgusted by what I'm about to tell you. But there's a part of me that feels sorry for her. There's a part of me that feels sorry for her. Truly. She is just a complete and total, a waste of life. Our good friend Gwig says, do gateway drugs exist anymore? No. Accompanying drugs exist, Gwig. People who do drugs will use marijuana, start off with mother's milk, like cartoons on their children, drive cars. They accompany, but they don't cause. Correlation versus cause. Bradley says, what happened to institutionalizing the fringe? I think we should not institutionalize the fringe, institutionalize people who, by virtue of their fringe behavior, they disrupt the peace and quiet of my community. That's simple. Laurie says, aren't mental hospitals cheaper than prisons? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd rather eat paint. There we go. And I'd rather drink bleach. So if you want to see what's wrong with this country, if you want to see what's going on, this mentality that says, let's have needle parks. Let's go. Okay. This is the best one for you. I've been saving this one for you. This one is unbelievable. Our good friend Laurie came up with this butte regarding boofing. Okay. Listen to this. And again, children, You might want to get children out of the room for this one. This is not appropriate, but you got to ask yourself, what country am I living in? How is this even remotely possible? How is any of this even being allowed to occur? That's the bottom line. Okay. How is anybody even suggesting this? Let us begin.
Like Maine seem all too happy to throw away their cute little colonial architecture and small town boutique aesthetic and instead start the devolution into LA, Portland, Chicago, or New York. This now includes taxpayer-funded public health experts in the state teaching people safe tips, they say, for using fentanyl by injecting it, I'll politely say, up their backside.
You heard it correctly, using fentanyl. 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 There is no safe use of fentanyl. It does not exist. It doesn't. Like there's no safe way to fire a round into your noggin. It doesn't exist.
Joining us now to discuss is Steve Robinson, the editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire. Steve, thanks for being back tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great. So you guys have a whole write-up about this over at the Maine Wire. Can you explain for us what in the world did we just watch exactly?
What you just watched was taxpayer-funded public health experts from Maine Access Points, which is a nonprofit here in the state of Maine, explaining to their customers, their clients, or anyone who's just curious about drug use culture, how you could administer fentanyl, meth, or heroin if your arms and your toes are too scabbed over and needle tracked for you to be able to successfully use intravenous drugs in the manner you're accustomed to.
Introducing meth, heroin, and fentanyl. This is instead of saying, no, we're not going to aid and abet, counsel, procure, hire. We're not going to be an accomplice to this because we would be a co-defendant in the event of an overdose. This is another universe.
What they're talking about is boofing is the phrase for it, or booty dumping.
Please, I'm sorry for this, but this is reality.
And this is where you mix your drugs with a saline solution and squirt it into your rectum. And we received a tip about this at the beginning of the week, and I really didn't believe it. But we had one of our reporters go to a separate facility managed by the city of Portland, which is Maine's largest city. And in about 15 minutes, he was able to obtain a free boofing kit that came with 2 needleless syringes, several packets of lube, some antiseptic wipes, and just as a bonus, they threw in 2 free doses of Narcan and some fentanyl testing strips. This organization also manages our needle distribution or syringe distribution programs. In 2020, at the start of the pandemic, they decided that the needle exchange programs were going to drop the requirement that you bring in used needles in order to receive clean needles. So what we effectively have, they still call them needle exchanges, but throughout the state of Maine, in all our major cities, we have needle distribution centers. And the city of Portland has been tracking the number of needles they give out against the number of needles that they take in. And there's, in some cases, it's 100,000 needle difference. So this
100,000 needle differences. Like these people are going to be remembering to put their needles safely, to store them, bring them back, and then exchange. I mean, this is the parallel universe these people live in.
The streets of our cities are littered with needles that could potentially harm a non-drug user, transmit infectious diseases.
That's right.
And it's ironic that this entire program is being done to mitigate the spread of infectious diseases like hepatitis or AIDS, but we're now littering our streets with needles that could in fact spread those diseases.
Yep. When I see people in New York City walking around wearing thongs, I don't know where this is. Yesterday, I was at a Whole Foods, and people look like they come from the pool. I don't think you should wear a suit and tie to Whole Foods, but there's this slob. There's this, have you seen him? It's kind of like the suburban mom slob. She has her like thongs, like like beach thongs, and horrible just disgusting. Just disgusting. Yeah, men too. And you're it's one thing, you're walking around the streets of New York in thongs with needles and God knows what. What are you doing? There used to be a thing where professional wrestlers were absolutely, and professional athletes too, but they had shower thongs because of athlete's foot and things they would catch by just walking around. And I mean, they were like fastidious about that. And they're worried about COVID, but they're not worried about this. Raul says, hang on a minute, just a second. Just 1 second. Hold on here. Hang on. Whoa, Bill. Raul says St. George told the cop he was boofing. Okay. Fentanyl after my knee surgery was great. Oh, I'm sure it's great. You know what's also great? Morphine is great. Drugs are great. Absolutely. Yes. Do you want to hand that out? But here's what's happening, Brad, and I know you know this, and I'm sure you know this. The fentanyl you're getting is not laboratory fentanyl. It's not industrial fentanyl. It's not prescription fentanyl. It's China, Mexico fentanyl. You know that, right? You know that. If I call something ketchup and it's arsenic, you can say, well, it's ketchup. I like ketchup. That's not ketchup. Well, it's in a bottle. That's not ketchup. That's not fentanyl. Fentanyl with a dose rate of 1,000 to 1 is not what we're talking about. So let's forget the name of this. Let's forget the name. You call it xylazine, you call it tranquil, whatever you want. Whatever this stuff is that people are getting, they're dying. And the number of folks and kids who are dying from taking one little pill, they think they're getting like a Percodan or a Percocet or something online. It's got fentanyl in it. Industrial, Cuba, Mexico, high grade, synthetic. It doesn't even resemble this. Let me ask you something. I'm sure you know this, Brad, but if I were to say to you, would you like a glass of wine? That's nice. Give them the grain alcohol. Give them the white lightning, the moonshine. Well, that's alcohol. That's what it's a little red, call it wine. They have nothing in common. Well, they both kind of ferment a little bit. No. Well, they're a little grape, but with some grape juice in there. No. We're not talking drugs. We're not talking anything like this. And here's the deal. This is the problem. When you have a car that has a loud engine and it keeps people up, I can give you a ticket. Driving is legal, perambulating, locomoting, moving about, all of that's legal. The noise is a problem. You see what I'm saying? I'm not making travel illegal, but your particular means of travel is annoying. And I'm going to charge you and I'm going to arrest you. That's what this is. Listen to me. It's over. Whatever this experiment was, I don't care. Here's the pendulum, right? The pendulum has come back like a wrecking ball. You cannot gradually undo this. When I watch portions of the Tonys, I realize these people are destroying their industry by having this freak show. By basically going into some kind of, I don't know, like Vice Squad rejects or something, and bring every lunatic who has this idea that America cannot get enough of same-sex, non-binary, trans love affairs and men kissing. This is the beginning and the end of their world. They think about it 24 hours a day, whenever they want to go on stage, and every now and then somebody will. You're not going to see a remake of Oklahoma yet. The big story, the big shows at work are, of course, Wicked. What else is there? Wicked, Phantom, Phantom closed, right? Wicked, Book of Mormon. Still done. People want to see this. Who wants to see this? They're destroying their own industry because of this depraved mentality. Do you hear what I'm saying? This is where we are right now. This is Joe Biden they don't care. They are on some form of a mind-altering drug themselves. I don't know what it's called. I don't know why it is. I don't know what the purpose of this is. I have no clue as to why they do this. I have no idea of why they involve themselves with this, but they're living on another planet. And let me explain something to you. All of this great libertarian stuff is over with. We're not talking about somebody who is in their home. If you go into somebody and you arrest them, let's say there's a search warrant and somebody is there tranked out, whatever, on fentanyl or whatever it is, and they're there and they're not bothering anybody. That's not what motivates me. It's when you are on the street. There is a law against public intoxication, disorderly conduct. There's no law against being intoxicated. Being intoxicated per se is not against the law if you're not driving. You can't be arrested because you're at your own home intoxicated. It's public intoxication. That's the story. That's where we are. El Salvador style may be necessary. I agree with you, Lori. There's something that's happening right now. We're saying it does not work. I don't understand when you have something. If you have, let's say there was a rash of rabies in the community. Rabies, okay? You would find yourself thinking very quickly. You would find yourself saying, you know, it's probably time that we do something very drastic about this rabies situation. That may be quarantines, that may be curfews, the way we reacted towards COVID. Let me remind you, your government had no problem in depriving you of every conceivable form of individual personal liberty when it came to COVID. They didn't care. It meant nothing. But the reason why they're showing such open-mindedness regarding this particular thing is because they want to destroy this country. They want to destroy this country. Let me say this again, and maybe you can grasp this. If you let this happen, it's like a yeast infection. It's like rats, like bed bugs. It's like anything else. If you let this vermin just continue, if you allow it, if they say, well, it's okay to come to Portland or Kensington or Philly or LA and do this, it's okay. Where can I go and hang out and do drugs? Go there. Go to Kensington. Okay, you're fine there. They won't arrest you. They'll give you needles. Will they rouse me? Nope. Will they bother me? Nope. It's open air market. You will have the time of your life. Really? Absolutely. Thank you. Well, thank you. That's what's happening. Now, let me ask you something. Do you want to continue that? Laurie says we got to shape up. New day in USA. Absolutely. Who wants to continue this? Brad brings a good. Brad, do you want to not do this because you had fentanyl after surgery and fentanyl's a good thing and we should just say whatever it is? I had surgery before and I had a variety of wonderful, wonderful drugs and analgesics, which helped me. I think that, what do they call it? Milk of amnesia. When you have that wonderful quick, you know what I'm talking about, when you have the colonoscopies and things, it's wonderful. It probably killed Michael Jackson. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. Wine is wonderful, being an enophile, being a drunk on the street. There is nothing, and I mean this, there is nothing that gives you the right to lie on streets and to pass out and regurgitate and vomit and just basically, aside from being an eyesore, scare people by virtue of your behavior. Laurie says, if we love our country, we must stop that crap. Oh, yes. And that involves a most draconian look at this. A most draconian look at this. It's time to get real serious. And this notion now, as far as things like here, I don't know where you are, but here in New York, we have these cannabis stores on every corner. There's nobody in there. I promise you, there is nobody in a cannabis store. Brad Oplin, our good friend, says, my point, syntax and laws are problematic. This is not a syntax. We're not talking about that here. Barry Taylor says, where are the DEA on this fentanyl issue? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Thank you, Barry. And by the way, you know, Brad, that do you think DUI laws are a syntax? You think that laws that prevent alcohol is legal? Do you think laws that prevent drunk driving? No. See, you're using, and I found myself too, we're using stuff from the 70s, from the days of you can't regulate morality. It's that old William F. Buckley thing, Milton Friedman, the libertarian. You know what I mean? It sounds nice. We're not talking about you utilizing a particular substance to ingest into your body. I'm talking about something that you're doing where you end up passed out on the street and people have to step over you and you're frightening us and you're leaving the street strewn with the detritus and the jetsam and flotsam, so to speak, of your particular behavior. That's an old argument. That's the old one that says, hey, here's a guy's got a joint. What do you think this is? People are dying. Because what's happening, we have to pick them up and they are buying things. They're buying substances that are created by our enemies and we are passing them out. Let me ask you something. Let's assume you wanted to go after Russia. And yet that was the thing. A real Lindsey Graham, you were just crazed about Russia. And you decided you were going to somehow poison the Russian vodka industry. You were going to somehow do this. I don't know how you would do it, but you would do it. Lori says, we've got laws, no enforcement. Absolutely. That's the most important, Lori. But Lori and Brad, what if I wanted, and I said, I'm going to go on, I'm going to poison the vodka industry. What do you think Putin would do? Would he say, well, you know, vodka is a vodka, you know, is a part of our culture? No, he would say it's not vodka. They're poisoning it. They're poisoning it. When they recall spinach because of E. coli, it's not spinach that's a problem. It's contaminated spinach. They have these recalls where they will tell people, stop selling this. If this has, you can't sell this spinach with this batch number. We've seen this before. It's not spinach, it's poison. Yeah, but I had a spinach salad one time in Tarpon Springs. We're not talking about that. Well, you know, I had one time morphine. I had a nice drip. I had a back surgery. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. No. I don't understand. I don't understand. People have this idea. They're focused in this mindset. You can't serve alcohol to minors. Well, you know, when I was 15 years old, we would sneak out a. What are you talking about? I don't know. Some anecdotal thing that happened to me that somehow disenables any further, any continuation of the argument of this. It makes no sense. This is over with. Listen, I'm in charge now. I don't know if I told you this. That's it. And the first thing we do is this. Anybody who is, we pass either take something that is already on the books or we pass a particular city law that says if you are passed out intoxicated or in a state of stupor, you will be picked up and you will be brought to a facility that we will have. And you will be arrested and you will not be treated. You will, the same thing that we do when you are a threat to yourself or others. We used to call it in Florida, Baker acting them. When you are threatening suicide or whatever it is, we pick you up and we put you in a position, in a place where you don't hurt anybody. You're not a threat to anybody else or yourself. We pick you up and that's it. We warehouse you. You got it? Lori says, so we need better quality control on drugs, Al? No. I don't care about the quality control. You can't do this. No. I don't care about your drugs. My job in the government is not to give you better drugs. Make sure your drugs are clean. Make sure your drugs. I got to make sure, a lot of people are addicted out of their minds on pharmaceuticals. I'm not going to do anything about pharmaceuticals. It's you. It's your behavior, not the pharmaceutical. Or if you are somebody who violates the DUI laws, I'm not going to ban cars. Doesn't make any sense. No, it's about you. Here is the law. You can't do this. And we go up. We have police in hazmat suits come and pick these people up, put them in the back of units, and take them off. We take huge swaths of these areas. We come in with water cannon facilities that have disinfectant, and we spray and clean all of the gunk and the garbage and the egesta and the waste off of the streets. And we clean them up, and they're gone. We pick up whatever they were using, whatever they're contaminated, and we burn them. We incinerate them. We take these people to a facility, and you are being held because you are a threat to yourself and or others. We will have massive involuntary confinement. Okay? You can call it jail, call it criminal, call it, I don't care. You're not going back out. Or we're not going to give you fake free needles, or we're not going to give you straws and razor blades and boofing kits. No. If you have to dry on a detox, that's fine. The government is under no obligation whatsoever. If you're walking down and you are obese beyond recognition, if you have a high blood sugar levels, we're not going to make you live a healthy diet. We're not going to do any of that. Lori says subjects should stay at facility until they aren't a public nuisance. Agreed. Whatever. And maybe you can get them off this stuff. That's fine. Maybe. But all I know is that person who's bent over in that hypnotic thing, you look at your clock, he'll be gone. He'll be off the street in no time. Here come the units. We'll pick him up, take him away. That's it. Not sit there and drive and look at him. So that what do you call them? There's a TikTok name for people who do documentaries. I forget. There's a name where people go and they really just exploit these people. It's terrible. But we have them, pick them up, we take them away. It's that simple. I mean, there's really nothing. It's not that difficult for people to understand or to grasp. A good friend, Charlie Calais, says Gavin Newsom did it for the Chinese. Thank you, sir. George Len says we need a Marshall Plan to get back on track. We also just need, very simply, to enforce the rules. And thank you, gentlemen. We need the rules to enforce. I mean, it's that simple. I promise you. If I ran Philadelphia, nobody's going to be in Kensington. They're gone. They pick them up and we send them. And you find these areas. And it might be a football field. It might be a warehouse. It might be, I don't know. We were really good. We had beds or whatever. I don't know what you want to call them. I don't know. But it's not the government's duty to get you off of drugs. It's nice. That's not our responsibility. We don't even have responsibility to help people. If people don't even have universal health care, there are people who can't even have very serious surgeries committed. I'm not going to put you through some, and it's going to be so expensive, nobody could ever imagine it. But I'm not going to put you through some kind of treatment facility so that you can detox and learn how to make wallets and all that. Stop it. This is over with. It's done. They're quick learners. They say, you know what? This ain't the place to do it. I'll go to a different state, different country, or whatever it is. That's it. We don't do this anymore. We don't put up with it. Sorry. And if they die, they die. And if they don't recover, they don't recover. Nobody cares about that. We don't even care about children. We don't care about human trafficking. We don't care about child predation. We don't care about anything. We don't care about people who die in war. But you mean to tell me I'm supposed to have this inordinate sense of concern over somebody who, for whatever it were, acts as a human blight? No. It makes no sense. It's it. It's simple. It's done. I fix it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And there's going to be pushback from the same people who want to save the whales and this and that. By the way, whale saving, I'm all for that. When did we stop talking about the whales? I like talking about garbage in the ocean. That makes sense to me. Plastic straws in the ocean, I'm all for that. Not banning plastic straws. By the way, let me say this again. In LA, they're passing out plastic straws to people to use drugs, but you can't get a plastic straw in a restaurant. Bradley Opplin says, tough love, just like I learned in AA. Well, maybe that's it. There comes a point, though. And by the way, AA is the most incredible thing in the world. It saved more lives. It's not really tough love. It's like, it's up to you. Nobody's going to help you with this. Nobody. If you want help, it's there. But nobody's going to make you sober up. Nobody's going to make you do that. Nobody. Nobody. It doesn't work like that. Not in this world. It doesn't work. That's not it. You let me, you believe me when I tell you this. You make me, I would put people like our good friend Grady Judd in Polk County as my chief of police. Laurie Cook says, kids in Kensington, they got to see that mess. Oh, it's horrible. What do you think when you grow up and you see this? And by the way, let me say something. You see who those people are? They're black, they're white, they're young. This demographic of drug addict is not anything you've ever seen. I remember all of a sudden we saw them. We just, it's weird. All of a sudden we saw the cardboard boxes and we saw this and we saw the cardboard this and here and there. And next thing you know, I don't know what happened. They're gone. Never came back. They never came back. And we've got a country that lives where we tolerate the notion of this Hunter Biden, who is disgusting. This guy is disgusting. We think if you think we're going to treat the country like Biden does with his son, let me tell you something. Joe Biden could have said, I'm the president of the United States. And son, here's what I'm going to do. I've got access to people and military and law enforcement you never heard of. I'm going to pick your ass up. You're going to go to a monastery, as far as the rest of the people know, on the top of a mountain, and you are not going to get out of there until you're better. It's that simple. And if you think you're going to kill yourself, not on my watch. I will make your life a living hell. And you know what? Ultimately, it will actually help me politically if I straighten your ass up. You're not going to do this anymore. And what you've done, God knows what you've done involving children and kids. I have no idea on that laptop. You're a disgusting human being. You are vile. I don't care the reasons. I don't care. I'm sure you got a reason. Your brother died of this or that. Or I don't care about that. Everybody's got a reason. There are people out there who have been through the most horrible traumas you can imagine. They've never done any of this stuff to hurt anybody else. I'm tired of this. You are not going to do this. Believe me. You want to mess with me? I'm the president of the United States. I've got people from organizations and groups you've never heard of. I will pick you up in the middle of the night with a bunch of ninjas. You're going to go to some monastery. That's what they're going to hear. I'm telling you again, and you're going to dry out. And you're going to have a guy follow you the rest of your life. And you're going to pay for that. And if you so much as even get near this stuff, I'm telling you, you're through. You're an embarrassment. You're a waste of flesh. I can't believe we're even the same. We're even related. You're a waste of skin. You're the evil seed. You're some demented spawn. That's it. Done. Finished. Over. You got the wrong guy here, Hunter. You got the wrong guy. Believe me. I'm in the fight of my political life, and I don't need this. I've got enough problem walking around demented half the time, and I got to put up with this? No. Sorry. Now, granted, Biden can't say that only to a certain extent, because what he did was he put this enfeebled fool in charge of stuff that he should never have been. In any event, dear friends, thank you. I am going to say this again. When the facts change, I change my opinion. I never changed my way of thinking. I'm the same person I was. The country that I knew when I was in high school, the country that I knew when I grew up doesn't exist today. It doesn't exist today. Period. It does not exist today. It's that simple. So everything that I said then doesn't apply now. It doesn't apply now. My friends, please follow Mrs. L. Here is her link. Here is her YouTube channel. I ask that you follow her. She provides the most incredible, the most masterful, the most important information you can possibly get regarding a cause that nobody except President Trump is even doing or even addressing. And that's children, digital safety, child predation, and the like. Not only that, missing and murdered indigenous people. He has covered everything. What Biden is doing, I have no idea. He's hanging around in LA with a bunch of these people, and they're raising money not for him because they know they're going to lose this. They're going to put this into their other coffers. And by the way, notice how these people like Julia Roberts and George Clooney have to pay back the Democrats. Jimmy Kimmel, they're owed and owned. They're owned. They're part of the chosen. You got that? And don't turn your back on these people. Don't turn your back on these people for a moment. So, Lori Cuck, I thank you so very much. George Lenz, Charlie Calais, you were incredible today. Barry Taylor, Bradley Opland, thank you, kind sir. Raul Rodriguez, Gwig, Christian Janus, one of Will's, we thank you. Bradley, I thanked you. Gracie loves George. And I think I said Raul, and that is that. So I thank you for that. Very, very kind of you. In any event, my friends, make sure as we speak, please, please, please make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are subscribed to me and to Mrs. L, but specifically make sure you are subscribed because for reasons, again, I always tell you, I don't know why, but people become unsubscribed. What a wonderful morning this hour and 16 minutes has been. I thank you for your time and your attention. Thank you for your support. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. with different videos popping up. Please, I've got a couple of videos I want you to see. One of them, and this is important, this is critical. These were great. I think they were great. One day I woke up and saw, of all things, Candace Owens and Brianna Joy Gray joining forces. It's like, what? Wait a minute, what? This is the link. Both of them fired ostensibly from their positions over their thoughts and positions on Israel. And they're speaking today. I'm thinking, I never thought you would even ever see this in our lifetime, in our time. And also, there was an interview I did which shows the irrelevance of Bill Maher. Bill Maher, or Dilmar as I call him. Bill Maher is, he's just execrable. He's disgusting. He is an opportunist and does not know what he's saying. He will say whatever he can, whatever anybody will listen to for him to stay on top. This is a comment regarding him and Charlemagne the God. And the issue is whether today a black person has to be 5 times better at a job than others. And I have a take on that, which I invite you to see pursuant to this link I just provided you, also at Lionel Nation, which I think may surprise you, but it really shouldn't. And if anything, it provides, I think, one of the most cogent indictments against Bill Maher, who, for reasons I will never understand, has repackaged himself as either a wit or some kind of a sage. In any event, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much for being with us. See you tonight at 7. Don't forget, subscribe to Lionel Nation and Lynn's Warriors. And remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.